Hi, Tara. How are you?
Hi, Miss. I'm good.
I'm good. Thank you for asking. Did you get the pointers that I sent you on WhatsApp yesterday?
Yes, Miss. I got them. Went through them. This is from class.
Sorry, you cut off. I can't
Yeah,
hear you anymore.
Miss, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yes, Miss. I went through them.
All right, perfect. So what we're going to do today is we're going to expand upon that and start
Mhm.
creating peel paragraphs. You're familiar with peel, right?
Yes, Miss. I am.
Okay. So first of all, I want you to go ahead and come up with an introduction paragraph. So I'm going to leave it open here so that you can see the points that we need to discuss. Do you need me to send you the extract again?
Uh, yes, Miss. I think I might have it downloaded. Also, Miss, I think the paper code did change to 9676.
Okay.
I just checked that.
Yeah, thank you for the update. I will look for the papers.
All right, Miss.
Okay. So I've sent you the extract anyways, and I can send you the pointers as well if you'd like in the Zoom chat. And
Okay,
now I
yeah.
want us to start working on the introduction. So what has your teacher told you that your introduction should include?
We haven't really gone through that.
Okay. All right. So your introduction is, is
Also,
basically,
Miss,
yeah, go ahead.
um, we're only covering the hard parts, right? Since I can't do the full course.
Whatever you need us to focus on. So you just tell me
Um,
where you're struggling, what you need more focus on, and I can change my curriculum and my teaching agenda to fit your needs. That's fine.
I struggle mostly in Death of a Salesman
Mm-hmm.
and probably writing poetry answers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I find the harder parts.
Okay, so let's start off with this while I pull up the Seamus Heaney anthology, and then we can move over to poetry. Okay?
Right.
Yeah. So with your introduction paragraph, you need to reiterate the question, give us your stance. What are you standing for? Your thesis statement. What is your response? What do you believe is the significance to the relation of the tragedy? How does this extract push to the tragedy of the play? How does it motivate or add to the tragedy of the play? Do you think that this exaggerates it? Do you think that this is the catalyst where it starts off the tragedy? Is this what leads to the tragedy? Was this the point where everything started going downhill? So you tell us what is the significance of this extract in your introduction, and make sure that you're starting off with in Shakespeare's King Lear or in King Lear by William Shakespeare, one of those variations. It's always
Mm-hmm.
good to mention the book and the title and then the author at the beginning of your introduction. So why don't you give it a try, give it a spin, and I can help you along the way. So you can type it directly onto the Zoom chat, or if you want to do it on a document and then copy paste it onto the chat for me, that's also okay.
All right, Miss.
Mhm.
Miss, could I see the question
Yes,
again?
of
Um,
course. There you go.
Thank you, Miss.
No problem. Also, I've sent you the Seamus Heaney anthology on the WhatsApp chat. Can you please just check and tell me if that's the exact one you're using?
Sure, so much.
Mhm.
No, miss, it's not this one.
Okay, let me get another one and then you can tell me. How many poems are you
I
covering in
think
total?
we've done 8 so far in class school, and we have like I think 7 left, so it's 7 and 15 in total.
Okay, let me send you another anthology. Do you have your anthology?
Yes, miss, I think I do.
Yeah, maybe you can share that with me instead.
Yeah, sure. Miss, I don't think it's this one either. I'll
Mm,
share the one I have.
yeah, please go ahead. And what did you say the new paper code was? Let me write it down here.
Miss, I think it's at 9676.
Okay.
Miss, I've sent anthology.
All right, perfect. I'm just going to go through it.
Miss have sent it on the chat.
All right, perfect. Okay. So I'll just added this one part for you to tie in the question and how it is significant to the tragedy as a conclusion to your introduction.
Right, Miss.
Otherwise, I think it's a really nicely written introduction. I don't want to change anything. I think it's quite detailed, so good job.
Thank you, Miss.
No problem. I'm just going to help you kind of add a little bit of punctuation. Your comma there. Yeah, I think it's okay. So let me send it back to you. Now, looking at the bullet points, I want you to start working on paragraph 1. Demonstrate Lear's vulnerability and mental deterioration, or you can choose to do any one of them, whichever comes first in the text. You can go into some kind of chronological order, and whatever is approached first in the extract, you can start by referring to that.
All right, Miss.
Remember to use supporting evidence.
Miss, what literary devices could for AO2, which could I use that are in the text?
So whichever one you feel is helping you support your answer, like is going to support whatever evidence you have. Sometimes it's not necessary that you do discuss the technique. Sometimes even just the quote itself is enough. But what techniques have you highlighted so far in this extract? Can you tell me?
Could we say dialogue, or is that too vague?
I mean, the whole conversation is dialogue. So if we really look at it, it's going to be, I wouldn't say vague, but it's going to be very general because is everything is part of the dialogue. It's a conversation between them. And usually we would use the term dialogue when we are referring to a specific segment in the conversation. And it's usually, what do you call it? Something that we use in language and not literature, because in literature for like plays, 99% of everything is a conversation, it's a dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we only use the term dialogue when we have the speech marks in a text.
Okay, Miss. Yeah.
So when you're referring
Um,
it, you can say that this specific part in the dialogue is relevant instead of saying, the dialogue.
all right, miss.
What else?
Miss, there's the use of numbers. Is there a specific name for that device?
Yeah, you can say that
5
the
and
use of
20.
numbers of like 5 and 20, especially the repetition of 5 and 20, is Lear kind of emphasizing on the absurdity of having such limited servants, and how, if you're taking it from the perspective of Goneril and Regan, you can say that they had no respect for him, they didn't understand where their father was coming from, and that's why they were refusing him to have the servants to make him feel at peace with himself. And if you're taking it from the perspective of King Lear, then you want to talk about how the servants was something that made him feel in power, or empowered, and that's why he needed it. But it was absurd to him that his daughters were only letting him have 25 men.
All right, miss.
Mhm. We can start off with
Um,
that, and then we can double down to the rest of them.
miss, I just focus on one point from
For now, yeah, let's just start with
the.
one, and then we go one at a time.
Okay, miss. Miss, in one of the points you've mentioned the use of dramatic irony.
Mm-hmm.
Could you explain that? I don't quite understand.
Yeah. Are you familiar with dramatic irony?
Yes, miss.
Okay. So this is the point that I have on dramatic irony. Let me just bring it up for you. So where I've highlighted dramatic irony is in the situation where um Lear's accusations towards his daughter is flawed, and it's juxtaposed with his own understanding of parenthood. And where he's
Mhm.
insulting them, he refuses to realize that he is the one to blame for how they turned out, and how they are who they are, because he was unable to give them the upbringing that he was supposed to ensure that he would not be what he's insulting them to be. And that's where the dramatic irony comes in, where he's berating them for not being up to his standards, or not being up to the standards of society, and failing to recognize
Mhm.
that he is the one to be blamed for it.
All right, miss.
Mhm.
And Miss, you mentioned that we're gonna go through the themes and characters of the text, right?
Yes, that's how we
And the
usually
first
approach
struggle.
it. Yeah, because the questions are always based on themes and characters. So if you want to focus on the death of a salesman first, because you feel that's where you're
Mhm.
struggling, we'll start off with the death of a salesman. We'll do the themes and characters for that. We'll go to poetry, we'll do poetry, and then we'll come back to King Lear, do the same thing, characters and themes, and then we will come back to The Great Gatsby, was it?
Yes, miss.
Yeah, to The Great Gatsby, and we'll do the same thing. So we'll start off with what you feel you're struggling with more, so that we can get that practice in,
Mhm.
and then we'll touch upon the rest of it.
All right, miss. Okay, thank you.
No problem. Just give me a second, I'll be right back.
All right, miss.
I'm back.
In the question, it mentions dramatic methods. Miss, I don't quite understand what that could be.
In what question?
Oh, in the question there, it says, remember to include relevant analysis of Shakespeare's dramatic methods.
Yeah, so that's when you look at dramatic Shakespeare as a whole and kind of bring connections into what Shakespeare has been known to use in all of his plays or in all of his books. He is known to be dramatic, he's known to have a tragic hero, and you can kind of build connections between King Lear and Hamlet, or King Lear and Macbeth, and give us an overall analysis of this is how Shakespeare does it. This is how he did it for Hamlet. This is how he did it for Macbeth. So this technique is not something that's new to Shakespeare. Shakespeare has adapted this technique before in order to present a tragic ending or a tragic beginning or a tragic play. Let me see if I have anything that I had written. I gave more generic responses, but let me see if I have any paragraph on that. Let me come back to that for you.
All right, miss.
So even the technique, like the dramatic irony that we were talking about, is a very common technique that Shakespeare uses throughout his works, including Hamlet, Macbeth, Othello, and he uses other dramatic techniques like soliloquies or monologues. Even the concept of betrayal, like I said, the concept of tragedy, the concept of betrayal, the concept of family dynamics. This is something that's quite popular in all of his works, especially all of his tragedy works. So when you are addressing the relevant analysis of his dramatic methods, you can refer to all of these techniques. And the overall connection to how Shakespeare has done this in his other works can be something that we can restrict to either the introduction or the conclusion. And then in the paragraphs, we can just focus on his dramatic methods being the soliloquy that King Lear has towards the end of the scene, that entire monologue and speech he has.
All right, miss.
Yeah.